city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Back on this rap-ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu, and I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
That trade season is here. A real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz. And I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it
I
for
hate these
us.
average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game. I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers. I'm knocking my own flame. I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city. I did it for the love. I did it for the people. I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Grand Rising and good morning, everybody. Happy Friday Eve. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday. And boy, oh boy, we got a lot to get into today. I got to bring in my guy, my co-host with the most. Big O, what up, Big O?
Trey Holiday.
Hey, happy Thursday, my friend.
Man, it's Thursday and it's Throwback Thursday. And guess what? We're going to get in the time machine today with the Postman, with Devon and Kiana Pickett. We got some stuff that goes back to 2018, right when they first opened and everything else. And we're going to be joined by Devon Pickett later on in the show. We're also joined today by Renee Raketty, who's a journalist with the Seattle Gay News. You guys might remember Renee. She filed a claim or a case against the city, Seattle Police Department. And around a blast ball, July 25th. July 25th, people who watch this show regularly, you guys remember that's the day that like it converged. We're like, yo, that day it was wild. But anyway, Renee filed a claim and OPA made a decision on that, and it was not sustained. And we're going to talk to Renee Raketty about that as well. But this right now is a perfect moment to remind you to tag and share the stream. Tag and share the stream with people that you know could appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City.
Yeah, absolutely.
That tag and share is
I
real.
love it. Tag and share, y'all. Help your friends also get educated and acclimated to the news right here that is culturally relevant. Love it.
All right, so we got a few interviews today. So the headlines are short. So we've only got 2 headlines here today, but big deals all in the same. The first, this is a clip right here from King 5, and they're talking about the settlement that we mentioned yesterday in the Tommy Lay wrongful death lawsuit against the King County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, there is no doubt that this day has been very difficult for the Lay family. Of course, no amount of money will bring their son Tommy back, but they are hoping that this settlement will propel some meaningful change. Family members of Tommy Lay speaking out after reaching a settlement with King County. Lay's aunt says they feel partial justice.
At one point, we have somewhat justice for Tommy because there's admission and more clarity, and the truth is out.
To the family, that truth is an acknowledgement that Lay was not a violent person as portrayed by sheriff's deputies who responded to a disturbance in Burien 4 years ago, the night Lay was killed. His picture still stirs emotion to this day.
I remember his smiling face, which his bright smile. I know he's not gonna come back.
Lay's father still coming to terms with his loss, stating the obvious: no amount of money will bring his son back.
I want my son back. I want everybody, every family in this country. Not gonna happen to our families. It's been hurt for our family. They embarrassed our families for the past 4 years.
Lay's mother saying through an interpreter,
at least we were able to bring to the light as to why my son was killed.
An independent review released in September found gaps on how the King County Sheriff's Office handled its investigation and the deputy's use of deadly force. We now know Lay was not holding a knife that night, but a pen, and an autopsy showed Lay was shot in the back, indicating he was hit while possibly running away.
The truth is that Deputy Molina shot and killed an unarmed 120-pound Asian high school student in the back while he was retreating. And that does not meet the constitutional requirements for the use of deadly force.
Lay's family, meanwhile, is encouraged this settlement will provide meaningful reforms.
I think there's issues like, the big one is just the police accountability and the transparency.
Now, the King County Sheriff was unavailable to discuss the settlement today, but the Sheriff's Office says it was ready to try this case in court and adds, although the parties do not agree on the fundamental facts of the case, we are pleased the settlement will allow everyone to avoid a difficult and likely painful trial. Now, Deputy Molina is still employed with the Sheriff's Office. He is now dismissed from this lawsuit as a condition of that settlement. Live in downtown Seattle, I'm Christine Pei, King 5 News.
Christine, thank you.
All right, that was there from King 5. Tommy Lay lawsuit dismissed $5 million settlement, and excuse me. It's also interesting, Trey Holiday, that one of the things that Tommy Lay's father said is our family was embarrassed for 4 years, and we know how these narratives go, and we saw that up there at NAM as well. Is that the narrative that was put out by the King County Sheriff and a lot of the media? Well, first of all, they were like, "Oh, well, this guy has a knife, that he's approached them with a knife and threatened him," and that was a lie. That was a lie, 100%. Tommy Lay never had a lie. It's even in dispute, even whether he had a pen. But the thing is, imagine the family sitting here the whole time with the news and everybody else saying the King County Sheriff kills Tommy Lay, who they were saying might have had a mental break, who approached him with a knife, and he never had a knife at all. I mean, these narratives matter.
They really do. And even when the evidence comes out, and they talk about the fact that he was shot in the back, it is another key indicator about abuse of power. And this is what so many that have been taken to the streets, and clearly his family, when his father, says that, is, we understand it. So much of this, again, falls on the family. And sometimes when they talk about these things, we just saw, abuse of power in Tacoma, right? With somebody delivering papers and, somebody being able to say, the sheriff being able to say, oh my gosh, I was in fear for my life. And it brought out 42 police officers. These kinds of tactics are something that unfortunately we see play out in a negative perspective with regard to police force. And I think that it's important that we understand the details of this narrative. I also think it's one of the things that's really unfortunate to me, with regard to the Tommy Lay case, is that sheriff still has a job. That's part of it where, that's kind of hard to reconcile with.
Yeah, it's clear 100% on this. That, I mean, time after time, they fumbled this case all the way around, and independent investigations found that, I mean, there was even bullets that were fired that went other places. No one followed up on where those bullets went. Mm-hmm. They said Tommy Lay had a knife. He didn't have a knife. They said he had a pen, but where a pen was found, they're saying it wasn't possible for him to be actually holding that pen. They besmirched this young man's character, some everything else. They even wanted to bring the 90-year-old grandmama into an actual courtroom here during COVID and everything else. In King County, I think they knew this. Like, this dog wasn't gonna walk back home, man.
Yeah, and that's another key factor here is the fact that they are still talking about he may have had a pen, when it's like evidence shows that he probably didn't have that pen, and yet that's not the main narrative that's being told. It's one of those things where when we talk about blue protecting blue, we see it play out right here in our city. And again, just unfortunate. I am happy that the family is able to get some resolve with the $5 million. Again, does not pay for losing the life of their family member, Tommy Lay, a young high school student, probably just a bright future ahead of him, I'm sure. And once again, something that this family is going to have to, really suffer through and deal with.
I think the biggest thing is that they said that he was approaching them, but then at the autopsy said that he was shot in the back. So, man, we got another headline. We're going to move to later on in the show. We got Devon Pickett waiting in the green room right now. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're talking to Devon Pickett, who is the CEO of the Postman. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Community Voices returns for 2021 with 2 very special episodes that examine the shifting demographics and cultures of Seattle. Converge Media proudly presents Community Voices, the Vanishing Seattle edition. This is a 2-part special that examines 4 Seattle neighborhoods: the Central District, Chinatown International District, the University District, and Ballard, all Seattle neighborhoods that have experienced great change and displacement due to gentrification, rising rents, and development, as well as found creative ways to stay rooted and resilient. Also, all neighborhoods that have a long and proud history, culture, and traditions that combined help shape the face of the Emerald City as we know it today. The Community Voices episodes will include films plus discussions with local small business owners and community members. These are 2 powerful live episodes that you will not want to miss. So make sure and save the date, March 18th and March 25th at 7 p.m. across all Converge Media platforms. Presented by the City of Seattle Department of Neighborhoods and Vanishing Seattle.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And yes, tonight, 7 p.m., Community Voices, the Vanishing Seattle edition, episode 2. We're focusing on Ballard and our home neighborhood, the Central District.
Hey, the Central District. I had to wear my shirt. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Dada Boss, Miss Geneva Arunga. Had to wear my Central District sweatshirt right here. Malcolm also designed. You know what I'm saying? This is really of the CD right here.
Man, you stay repping. You stay repping. Oh, yeah, D'Alessandro. Please bring in Devon Pickett. Devon.
What's up? Top of the top.
Hey, top of the top.
This guy, Devon Pickett. I hit Devon. I sent him a message at like 5 a.m. Like, hey, man, this is the link. We're going to be on. This guy's already up. He does a morning regiment. You know what I'm saying? He's like lifting water bottles and all kinds of stuff. What's up,
Gotta keep it right, brother.
How are you?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. So, but before we jump into this photo montage, this video montage here, it's Throwback Thursday, and we thought, what better way to do a Throwback Thursday than around the Postman? But first of all, why don't you tell our audience who might not be aware of what the Postman is, what your business is all about?
So we're a third-party authorized ship center. We specialize in providing services, mail and business services for the community. There's a bunch of different services that fall under that umbrella. One of the things you get to send through 4 different carrier options. So UPS, FedEx, DHL, and UPS and the post office. Sorry about that. And then we do copy scanning, faxing, notary, paper shredding, lamination. Got private mailboxes for people who need professional street address for their business. And we're really like we're a cornerstone for the neighborhood. You know, we're a place where people run into other individuals of the neighborhood, especially with COVID and everything going on. It's really a place of community. So.
All right, good.
Surely is.
Good stuff. Do you use the Postman?
Hey, I use the Postman, and I just gotta say that in terms of even organizationally, we use the Postman, man. Post office box is right there at the Postman. So absolutely.
All right,
that's
good
love.
stuff.
I appreciate that.
You know it.
Devon, you and your wife Kiana, you guys are featured tonight in the Vanishing Seattle episode at 7 p.m. But I thought that your growth has been Converge Media's growth, right? And I thought that we would take the viewers down memory lane. And the first clip that I'm gonna play here, we didn't have no cameras, we didn't have no mics or anything. This was back in the camera phone collective days, and all I could do was take my camera phone and then try to put some graphics over it. And I apologize to our viewers if it's a little hard to read, but this is back in 2018. My first time covering the Postman. I remember that, Devon. I was like, yo, man, I just want to tell you guys a story. All I got is my iPhone right here. But if you just let me take some pictures and video, we can tell people about you.
Yeah, that was major, man. I mean, just looking back on that, it's just it's a testament to just starting where you're at and then just building on that. You know what I'm saying? Because of course, now where you guys are at as a media coverage, I mean, outlet is way surpassed that, and even us in our business. So when I see stuff like that, I just it gives me joy. It's a testament to the grind, man.
Absolutely. I think, so much of the resilience in our communities is really about putting one foot in front of the other. And you guys do that exemplarily. So thank you for that, because I think so much of what is needed is for our people to actually see the examples within our community. And you guys are also displaying lots of Black love, I gotta say, also amongst your business. It's like a twofold.
Yeah. So even with that, I think that once we start to understand I feel like the country as a whole is a business. I think about we've translated that from our relationship to actual business to just understanding it all takes work, you know what I mean? And you got to evolve it, and you've got to keep being creative and you know, you gotta basically you gotta think for yourself. I think that's a lot of times what we do as a family is we make sure that we keep certain things intact so even through emotions and different mood swings, overall we're getting to where we want to go, which is like generational wealth and, you know, growth and elevating our community and things of that nature. So more logical and less emotion.
There we go.
All right, and so we cut back up. You know, Devon, he wears the title of CEO, but we know the real boss is Kiana. So anyway, you didn't hear that, right?
That part. No, I ain't tripping. That's all good.
We know the real boss is Devon's wife, Kiana, and we caught up with Kiana Pickett in May of 2019 in a community meeting about what was going to be next for the post office. The post office had left the Central District. There was actually no post office services there in the Central District. The postman had filled the void. You know, I mean, there was no services in the CD. The postman had filled the void. And we caught up with Kiana Pickett, your wife, at a community meeting there in May of 2019.
Echoing DeVinson's sentiment was Kiana Pickett, co-owner of the Postman Shipping and Small Business Services located on Martin Luther King and East Union, who said she was surprised by the lack of communication USPS had with the community prior to shutting down services.
We feel like with the post office leaving, they kind of left in an abrupt manner. We knew about it 2 years ago that they were going to be leaving, and we feel like they kind of left the community high and dry without letting them know that they were going through the postal service. They could have sent out a postcard saying where people could go, their options.
Pickett, along with her husband Devon, opened the Postman to provide full-service shipping and small business needs to the community. Devon's grandfather was actually a USPS letter carrier in the CD for nearly 30 years.
We're very helpful, so if you have questions, we like to guide people because we're from the community, 5 generations from the Central District, and Devon, my husband's grandfather, was a postal carrier and retired from the Postal Service, and so we feel like it's important to continue pushing the mail through our community, and because our motto is keeping communities connected, and that's what we're doing. When the post office left, we're here.
Although Pickett agrees that the Central District should not be deprived of a post office since it is something fundamental to the community, she's also quick to point out that in her eyes, the private sector stepped in to fill the void when the government pulled out, and that the Postman provides most of the same services that USPS offered and more, including shipping and receiving of FedEx and UPS, as well as a notary service, and that their emphasis on community means that doing business with the Postman ensures that money stays within the community.
We're African American, we're young, we're entrepreneurs. The money that we make goes right back into our community. Our kids go to school in our community. We shop at the other businesses in our community. We live in our community. We pay rent in our community. So with the post office closing, with us being there, it's really bringing the community closer together, we feel like.
Pickett said that as her and Devon continue to see the population of the Central District increase and thus the demand for shipping services increase as well, they plan to open several more of the Postman locations across the Central District to meet the growing demand.
We have expanded services, and we plan on having multiple locations right in the Central District. So 98122, you're going to find the Postman in 3 different locations within the next 5 years.
All right. So, first of all, Kiana Pickett, Devon's wife, she was out there pregnant, holding it down.
She is a superstar. She is a superstar. We got a thing in our family. We don't do excuses. So, you know, that's just with that. She just represents that in that regard. Like that's what's gotten us to where we're at. You know what I'm saying? So it's something we kind of joke about, but we be serious about. You know, and she definitely lives that. So.
She embodies it for sure. Oh, I love it. And you know what? The thing is, too, is that I think it was great to have some real representation talking about the legacy of Black families in the Central District at that meeting in particular, because it was such a mix of newer community members, some who didn't have that understanding or that history, were just trying to figure out what to do in terms of postal services. You guys really stepped up and filled the void. Absolutely. I remember being at that meeting. Oh, it was like, we need to capture this because so many people were trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I remember being at that meeting too, because we had just raised enough money that like we had a kid in EOS. I was so excited. We had a kid in EOS. We just worked out some audio situation there. We bought a Zoom. We had stick mic. You know what I'm saying? We had a mic flag, and I was like, "Yo, we're gonna cover this. We're gonna tell community stories." And that actual segment was 8 minutes long. It was like real community news. You know what I'm saying? It was memory lane. Like I said, I'm kind of juxtapositioning. I think that's the right word of the Postman's growth to also Converge Media's growth. We started off there with just the iPhone, right? And then we covered this this community meeting where Kiana Pickett was at there. We had our brand new EOS Canon camera, which we still have, by the way. And now, Devon, wow. We caught up with you and your wife for this segment that we're going to play right now. The full thing is going to air tonight at 7 p.m. But this is a segment in the Vanishing Seattle episode for tonight.
Hi, I'm Kiana Pickett with the Postman.
And I'm Devon Pickett with the Postman. Brief history is that a young couple started a mom and pop shipping center in loving memory of my great-grandfather, Jacques Chappelle. He was a USPS mail carrier for 37 plus years in the community and ultimately retired from the post office. And then we wanted to take it a step further and created our own shipping platform.
We really feel like we came in at a time where the community was really being hit with gentrification, and it's like not something we can prevent, but we're like right in the middle of it. And then with the USPS leaving and a lot of people really relying on that service, it was really a pivotal time when we came in, and we were like embraced with open arms because people needed the services. We brought back faxing. People were not able to send a fax anywhere. And so what Devon loves to say is we took a mundane type of service like shipping or the postal service and like created something that's like a culture, and you come in here to get lifted up. There's just so much that we brought to the community that it was missing, and that we're like growing off of what was already here.
Yeah. All right. So Devon, I mean, from us, we can see the progression here of the iPhone to the Canon. So now you and your wife look great. Jake Gravbrod actually shot that video there at the Postman, and man, you guys look fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really nice shoot. I mean, it felt like, we've done a lot of them, and that one just kind of felt really natural and just I don't know, just the interview kind of just flowed. So it was we're excited to see like the finished product and everybody be able to tap in.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that really excites me about you guys is I love how we put this together today. Oh, that was really great because we saw you guys. I mean, look, you didn't even have the braids, bruh, in the first clip.
Exactly.
So growth on all fronts, even hair growth.
Yeah, literally. And we, just recently I got a house, and so, it's just been a lot of growth, and we'll see more of it. We're working on an app right now, so we'll have like our first deliverables in June. So we've been partnering with Seattle University. Kiana's been putting a lot of work into that behind the scenes, and so we just continue to just invest in it and just rebuild. Just continue to build on what we started. As far as the braids, I think that speaking for our culture, a lot of times you got tattoos, you got certain things you want to wear, and when you're not necessarily running your own business, or you're not in a certain place in life financially, there are certain rules that kind of abide to you. So for me, it was like I've done all the different walks of life. I graduated from Seattle U, so we had to wear the clean shave and all that. So for me, this is just something I always wanted to do. So now that just being able to do it, it definitely feels uplifting. You know what I mean? Speaking of growing my hair, basically.
There we go.
Well, you know what? You on the right network, because for us, we just thrive in our space.
That's right. We're
right.
Like, no, really,
That part.
come as you are. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is coming you are. All right, Devon Pickett, we're gonna see you at 7:00 tonight for Community Voices, the Vanishing Seattle edition, episode 2, where we focus on Ballard and the Central District. Devon, thanks for joining us this morning.
Great work,
All right.
brother.
Yep. Thank you guys. You have a good day. See you later.
Bye.
It's good to see how Devon and Kiana, man, they just keep thriving, huh?
I love it. I mean, she said it right there in the clip. You know, you're going to see us in multiple locations over 5 years. They are working towards that diligently. It is just another testament of, you know, just like we talk about here on the Converge show and on our platform, man, it's one foot in front of the other every single day, man. Diligence wins.
I like these opportunities too, because, you know, a lot of times people think that we just popped up at the Seattle protests and we didn't exist or something. And it's like you see a clip there from 2018. We've been telling these stories about our community and our neighborhood, you know, A1 from day one. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we have journalist Renee Raketty, also joined by her lawyer, Sarah Lippick, and they're talking about a recent OPA decision. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
Community Voices returns for 2021 with 2 very special episodes that examine the shifting demographics and cultures of Seattle. Converge Media proudly presents Community Voices, the Vanishing Seattle edition. This is a 2-part special that examines 4 Seattle neighborhoods: the Central District, Chinatown International District, the University District, and Ballard, all Seattle neighborhoods that have experienced great change and displacement due to gentrification, rising rents, and development, as well as found creative ways to stay rooted and resilient. Also, all neighborhoods that have a long and proud history, culture, and traditions that combined help shape the face of the Emerald City as we know it today. The Community Voices episodes will include films plus discussions with local small business owners and community members. These are 2 powerful live episodes that you will not want to miss. So make sure and save the date, March 18th and March 25th at 7 p.m. across all Converge Media platforms. Presented by the City of Seattle Department of Neighborhoods and Vanishing Seattle.
The story of Converge Media did not start at the Seattle protests or at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, nor 4 years ago when we very first opened our doors. The true story of Converge Media is firmly rooted in the legacy of Black media heroes of yesterday, whose shoulders that we stand upon today. Converge Media is firmly rooted in the pioneering spirit of Horace Caton Sr., who over 125 years ago launched the Seattle Republican newspaper alongside his wife, Susie Revels Caton, a trailblazer in her own right, serving as the associate editor, a groundbreaking feat for a woman and especially a Black woman at that time. We are rooted in the visionary eye of Al Smith, who documented Black beauty, culture, vibrance, and excellence through his lens. We are rooted in the benevolence of Fitzgerald Beaver, who envisioned the Facts newspaper, the very same newspaper where my father, James Salisbury Jr., was a staff photographer over 4 decades ago. We are rooted in the broad and innovative shoulders of Chris Bennett, who with his Z-Twins radio took the story of Black excellence to the airwaves. We are rooted in the fearlessness of Roberta Bird Barr, who 56 years ago broke ground and shattered stereotypes as she hosted the TV show Face to Face that tackled issues of race and equity head on. We are rooted in the rhythms of Gordon Curvey, whose music Inner City brought our culture and vibes to TV screens across the Emerald City. Converge Media is also inspired by our contemporary icons. We are inspired by the commitment to storytelling from Tony B and Rainier Avenue Radio, and inspired by the passion and dedication of Marcus Harrison Green of the South Seattle Emerald. So you see, when you look at Converge Media today, and especially as we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the Morning Update Show, just know that our story did not begin with us, nor will it end with us, as it is our duty at Converge Media to broaden our shoulders for the next generation of Black media innovators, to stand firmly upon them and to tell the stories of our community to generations yet to come. Share the stream.
Share the stream.
Yeah, share the stream.
Yo, you know, a big shout out to Detlef Shrimp. Detlef Shrimp, man, former NBA star, college star here. And he retweeted that video last night. I was on a panel with Detlef yesterday. Yo, and Detlef is plugged in, by the way. He's man, that lift is real switched on and really wants to be about the change he wants to see. So big
That's
shout out Detlef Shrimp.
beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So moving into our second segment here, we have a guest, and you know it's always something when the guest has a lawyer with him too. So Oya D'Alessandro, please bring in Renee, Raketty, and Sarah Lippick. There it is. And I've talked to Sarah so many times too. Hello.
Hi, you guys.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show. I know I love Converge Media. I love you, Amari. I love you, Trey. Love seeing your outfit. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt. Whose phone is that?
It's another.
Is that
somebody?
I know, Renee. Someone's calling you. I know you're a journalist with the Seattle Gay News.
Yes.
Someone is pulling up your phone right now. They got a hot tip for you. But before we get going with all of this, though, I wanted to be able to say, me and Renee were literally side by side on many a days and nights covering the Seattle protests.
Mm-hmm.
It was real deal, Renee.
Yeah.
Them stripes is there.
Oh yeah, it was intense. Many of the times it was very intense. And Amari, you were there. Jake was there. Bobby saved my bacon a few times because those Seattle Police Department officers, they were out and they meant business. And of course, the munitions they used, the militaristic tactics they used, were used on the press as well, especially on July 25th. That was probably the craziest of all of the different protests that we attended as members of the press.
Yeah, I think people who watch the Morning Update show, they know that I don't really talk about dates. Of course, there was the Flashpoint Day of the Pink Umbrella, which we all know.
Yeah.
But the only date that I stick on is July 25th because that day, my friend, we got whooped. And like
Absolutely.
I said, see, it's not just Converge. It wasn't just Seattle Gay News. I mean, man, the press got whooped that day, like intentionally. But I want to jump into your case here. We've been following this from day one, and want to let everybody know I actually reached out to Director Meyerberg at the OPA, the Office of Police Accountability, and we didn't hear back from OPA, which we usually do. And I will say that they're really pretty good at getting back to us, but we didn't hear back around this case. But before we play a video that you provided here, I want to let the audience know that it was provided by Renee. Either you or Sarah, you could tell us about, what transpired going into this case you filed with OPA.
Yeah, so on July 25th, I was doing my job as a member of the staff at the Seattle Gay News. I was, assigned to photograph the protests. And so I had, been all over Capitol Hill, documenting different things that were happening. And at one point it became very spacey and eyes were burned, coughing. So I decided to get a refuge, a spot I was familiar with. So I basically sat on this metal fire escape. And the protest came to me. And of course, the police started pushing people back down 11th. So I got my camera out. And, normally I shoot still photos. I normally don't shoot video. So I'm sure the officer had no idea that my camera actually had the opportunity to shoot, quality video. And it just so happened that this blast ball that I, was exposed to, just so happened to be documented and recorded. On my camera. There's many instances where the SPD has pushed me, has shoved me, has, done other things. But unless I have it on video, I don't even tell people about it. I don't even put it on Facebook. And so, I was relieved to have what I experienced on video because, it was shocking. I felt like it was unprovoked and it was premeditated. And also, the consequences of this action have haunted me for, since July 25th. I've had the emotional consequences as well as the physical consequences of this officer's actions. And so many of the things that, the OPA documented or reported, honestly, I have some doubt about, especially the main fact of the findings. I mean, honestly,
Let,
it's
let's do this, Renee. Let's go ahead and then we'll play the video here that you provided, and then we'll also let Sarah join the conversation here about the findings that OPA had. So I want to make the audience aware this is a video that was provided to us by Renee, but it also includes the original footage that Renee shot. There's also some annotations on the video. We'll play that now. All right, Sarah, maybe you can tell our viewing audience what they saw right there.
Sorry, could you repeat yourself?
I said maybe you could tell the audience what they saw right there in that video.
Right. So it looks to us like an officer gets off his bike, walks towards where Renee is sitting, and kind of casually pulls the pin out of a flashbang and throws it. It hits her. Renee hasn't mentioned this, but it looks like, that caused permanent hearing damage for her. So it's not a minor scare, it's a real injury, and an injury that would be considered a type 3 use of force by the police standards and under the consent decree. And a type 3 is when there's, lasting damage to any kind of body function, including hearing. And so that's what I see happening. Did you want to? I can talk about the OPA's decision about what happened as well.
Well, I know you're a lawyer, so I'm sure you can talk ad nauseum about it.
But I used to work in the city office of Inspector General, so my whole job for a year was reviewing OPA investigations. So I have that in addition to just being able to talk a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason we're on here is like when you guys first filed the case with OPA, we did an interview, and we also interviewed Director Meyerberg around that time. And now there's been a decision that has OPA made a decision. Maybe you can, Sarah, tell everybody about what the decision OPA made was.
Okay, yes, and I'd like to point out actually that two things have happened. The last time that we talked about the fact that Renee's injury was a type 3 use of force, and that under the consent decree that is required to be investigated not just by OPA on the basis of a citizen complaint, but also by the force review board. And that's to check for possible policy or training issues, systemic type issues that can affect that injury. So the other thing that's happened since the last time we talked is that the Office of Inspector General looked into the fact that Renee's case was never referred by OPA to a force review board review. And so there was a letter from Office of Inspector General saying that this looks like a policy gap, and that Renee's the type of injuries that Renee suffered should be referred to a force review board. So that's something that was recommended by the OIG. It was a matter of interest to the city council, to city officials, and that's something that has been silent since. We haven't heard anything from OPA about how they're going to handle these types of injuries in regards to the force review board. So in Renee's individual case, I think something happened that is predictable but still deeply disappointing, and that's that the OPA found that there was no violation of policy when Renee was hit by the blast ball when it was thrown at her by this officer. And I think, like a lot of OPA cases, it seems to demonstrate this pattern where the OPA, rather than looking for truth, seems to be looking for any faintly plausible thing that a cop could say to justify.
Let me jump in right here. Isn't it that the use of less than lethals, and especially on that day in July 25th, the use of less than lethal, there were a bunch of different things that went along with it. That there had the officer had to feel that their life or their safety was in danger. There, you know what I'm saying? There had to been a verbal warning from the person to be able to move. You can't use a flashball to drive people, move them in a certain direction, and some of everything else. That being said, when this was researched by OPA, did that officer who threw the blast ball feel that his or her life was in danger or safety was in danger, and that's why the flashbang was thrown?
He claimed he was just throwing a flashbang and didn't see Renee.
Well, I mean, already right there, that's against the Seattle Police Department policy.
One with the, yeah.
Munitions.
Yeah. So the issue is that he claimed that he had found a flashbang grenade on the ground that had been thrown by officers but had not discharged, and that because of that, there was this dangerous, grenade laying around that needed to be disposed of. And so he said that he was told by his sergeant to so-called blast out, which is apparently to throw a blast ball or a flashbang in a random direction. But he's saying that he's trying to dispose of it safely, and that it's dangerous to try to put the pin back in. So that's the story that we hear. I don't find it credible for a few reasons. For one thing, in Renee's video, you can see the officer is riding on his bicycle and gets off right before this happens. So it's kind of not super plausible to me that someone would take a live grenade that had its pin removed, put it in their pocket, and then take a bicycle ride, and then get off their bike, stow their bike, and then be like, oh, I'd better do something with this grenade. So that part by itself is not very plausible. Second of all, in the video, as you can see that Renee provided, you can see him removing the pin. You can actually hear the sound of the pin falling on the ground. So the idea that it was a live grenade that needed to be disposed of because the pin had been removed just isn't credible on that basis, because you can see him taking the pin out. He also says that he was told to blast out by his sergeant. We don't hear any of that on Renee's video. And I will say we have asked for, for the videos related to this case and have not received them, neither in discovery in our lawsuit nor under public records requests. So.
Well, sorry, Sarah. This is it's so disheartening to hear when we talk about all of the facts that you guys are laying out, and for OPA to find no fault with this officer or no fault with the action itself. I want to ask you, Renee, putting yourself out there and your story out there, I think is so integral for people to understand some of the nuance and details that happen as cases kind of move forward in this regard. What are you hoping that the public really gathers from, you sharing your personal story in this way?
Well, for me, I think police accountability is important. I feel like some of the militaristic tactics that are used by my local police department as a member of a citizen of the city of Seattle, need to be reviewed, and that no officer is above the law. You can't use these less than lethal weapons on not only press, but, individuals. I was standing alone all by myself. And so clearly, this was an unnecessary use of force. And what I would like to see happen, obviously, is that my case and others like me, I know Amari has, had a similar case that day where he was pepper sprayed after identifying himself as a member of the press. I was wearing my press credential, but I think that I would like the OPA to, take these claims more seriously, to look at the video, to see that the pin had been pulled, to, hear the pin, you see the pin flying before he drops the ball. And yet for some reason they deny that the pin was pulled and that, this wasn't a live grenade as the officer claims.
Yeah, one more. I'm sorry. I also want to ask Sarah, you know,
I'm so sorry. My sound seems to have gone out.
Yeah, the audio dropped.
Yeah, neither of us can hear.
Okay, there. Can you guys hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sarah, what I'm wondering is that what kind of recourse do you guys have at this point? If OPA is saying this, what now can be done to move this forward?
Well, that's another big problem with the OPA process in general. There is no appeal. Once the ruling has been made, there's no appeal. There's nothing you can do to say we think new facts have come up, or you got something wrong, or there's an issue with the decision, the determination. It's over. If you think there's been misconduct by the OPA in the course of the investigation, then you can make a complaint to the Office of Inspector General. But that would be a complaint about the OPA's behavior. It can't be a complaint about the underlying behavior of the officer involved. So this is it. I mean, this process, because of this ruling, will not lead to any discipline for this officer. It's not impossible. The chief can do things without an OPA investigation, right? So the chief can review the facts and decide that there needs to be discipline. Someone in the chain of command could make that decision without an OPA investigation. But it's dead at this point for the most part. I think. I think it's an issue because even if you believe the story that he tells, which doesn't seem plausible based on video evidence, as we've said, but even if you believe that story, the officer says he can't see because he has 2 inches of visibility because of his goggles and protective gear, and that he can't see what's in the parking lot because of an incline in the parking lot. So that just seems, it's like, at the very least, it's negligent, right? At the very least, why would you throw a grenade in a direction where you can't see where it's going? Why wouldn't you then look at where it exploded? Just follow it with your eyes as you throw it and see where it goes. You would see yourself hurting someone, because that's the other thing. The other requirement when you're using these weapons is that you're supposed to check and see if anyone's been hurt. You're supposed to offer them aid, and they didn't offer any aid or assistance. It just, everything moved on for everyone else except Renee, who was damaged and frightened and changed by this experience. So there's no appeal, and there should be. I think that's one of the issues. If people want a specific thing to talk about in the police accountability process, I think, in some senses we have good rules, they're just not being followed. In other senses, we don't even have the processes to make an appeal to this process.
Wow.
Right. And so I just wanted to end, but before we let you drop off, Sarah, because we're going to continue our conversation here with Renee on a journalistic tip. But I did want to point out that we don't actually, Converge Media, no one in Converge actually has a case on July 25th, but everybody at Converge Media definitely got their ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? 100% is there. So many people, a lot of people open cases on our behalf. They looked at the stream and saw how we got our asses whooped that day. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't just us, the Associated Press, the Capitol Hill Times, the Seattle Gay News. It was like, man, press meant nothing, and people were there, well credentialed. We'll catch back up with you, Sarah, and we're going to continue our conversation here with Renee. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Don't forget, there is recourse in a lawsuit if you choose to go outside the OPA process. Take care.
What happens right now, we're letting it play out, but we'll let you know. All right. So Renee, we've only got a few minutes here, but I thought it was important as well, especially when people come on and talking about police issues and everything else, members of the media, but the Seattle protest wasn't the only thing that you've been covering. We want to play a clip right here. The other day, and the thing is, Converge, we have a coronavirus update show with me and producer Nikki Barron. This show was started to inform our community about coronavirus. But Renee, you had a one-on-one with Dr. Fauci.
I want to thank you again for doing this interview. I know that you're a very busy person these days.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Happy to do it.
I think I speak for the vast majority of our readers when I say that we appreciate your candor and reassuring presence during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. As you know, we in Seattle have been acutely touched by COVID-19, especially during those early days of the pandemic. I often tell people that you appear to be the same person in a figurative way that I met high atop the Sheraton Hotel and Towers in 2007 as you were in town for the AIDS vaccine conference. I was wondering, how has your life changed in personal and professional ways since becoming a household name?
Well, there's the good and the bad about that. It's been a most unusual year, somewhat surrealistic in that the enormity of the problem and the acuteness of the problem.
All right, Renee, we've only got a few seconds here, but man, tell us. I mean, that was your second time actually interviewing Dr. Fauci, and now Dr. Fauci might have been known nationally back then, but definitely internationally now. What was
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Fauci is the person of the moment. Clearly, the course of the pandemic rides on his shoulders. You know, he's an 80-year-old man. However, he has amazing amount of energy. He says in our interview basically that he hasn't had a day off since the pandemic began, but he understands the importance of his work, his advice, not only as a member of the Trump coronavirus task force, but now as an advisor to President Biden. He is basically was originally recognized as a leader on the HIV/AIDS issue. He began working on that in 1981 before he became the director of the National Institute of Health, and so in 84, I think. So basically, I had a chance to interview him again, thanks to Unite Seattle Magazine. That interview will be out April 7th in Kroger stores and in newsstands, and it's going to be available on Kindle on Tuesday. Also, I did a Q&A version, which is was out Friday. It's out now. And that's just a full Q&A interview, question and answer with Dr. Fauci. So you can go ahead and pick that up. I believe I have a copy of that right here. Then also Malcontent News, as a field producer, thank you very much. As a field producer for Malcontent News, I offered the video obviously to them. And so they had a special airing of the interview last night. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. Dr. Fauci is really just the nicest person. He's basically the same person on TV that you meet in real life. He's just so generous with his time, is explaining such complicated issues so relatively easily. We have to remember that he is actually also a scientist and is one of the most cited scientists in peer-reviewed scientific journals. Really, Dr. Fauci is just an amazing human being, an amazing politician, because obviously advising 7 presidents and, working in the Trump administration, you really have to be a good politician. But also he's a great, he's done such good work for public health. What an amazing man, and what an honor it is to talk with him personally.
Wow, Renee, we can't thank you enough for bringing your story right here to Converge Media. Thank you so much. And great work with your work with Seattle Gay News. Amazing.
Yeah, and
no problem.
We'll be checking back in with you soon. I mean, I'm sure we'll hear back from Director Meyerberg and get his thoughts on that decision there. And when we do, we'll check back in with you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Amari. Thank you, Trey.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
You too.
Yo, so let me tell you that when it was funky out there, man. Like the protest coverage, man, it was no whatever's given. If you had press on, wearing press credentials or not or anything, man, it was funky. And Renee was out there every day. You know what I'm saying? Covering that. And it's also good. I mean, I also like to, and that's what we talked about this part briefly here about Dr. Fauci and her interview with Dr. Fauci, is people could see that it's like the professionals that were out there covering the Seattle protests, that wasn't like the only thing that they got going on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that, Renee covered the protest. She can
talk to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, there we go. It's a great way to see, the versatility of what you can expect right here with Seattle Gay News. And I like that she is also with Malcontent, right? And then also with that United magazine. I mean, sometimes it just takes a convergence of media, as we know here, with South Seattle Emerald, Rainer Avenue Radio. I mean, we got to have that connection.
All right. So before we get out of here, we got a few things. First up here is there's vaccinations coming up.
Yes, there is vaccinations happening today. And I have my notes because during the phase 1B/tier 2, it goes to high risk critical workers in the following industries: agriculture, fishing, vessel crews, food processing, grocery store, food bank, corrections, court of law, public transit, and remaining first responders. Also, people 16 years or older who are pregnant or have a disability that puts them at high risk for severe COVID-19 illness. Anyone 65 years and older, all people 50 and older who also live in a multi-generational household, all workers at risk in healthcare settings, educators and school staff are pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, and childcare workers. Also, people who live or work in long-term care facilities. So you guys can call the YMCA at 206-382-5000. Press 8 for registration, and somebody will get you registered. That's happening today from 1 to 4 p.m. at Bailey Gazzard Elementary.
All right, good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to get this vaccination stuff out there.
There's a lot of collaborations happening with community members. And so I love seeing that, that people are getting it out there and making sure people on the ground know about these vaccines.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, so tonight, 6 p.m., a special time, we have Clap Back Culture. We got a nice overlay for that. Join Julia Jesse and Mike Davis, South Seattle Emerald, at 6 p.m. special time tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern, because Julia brings in that East Coast audience. So we want to check you guys then. Is my hat been crooked the whole show? All right. And then tomorrow we have Shukri Olo. And Shukri is running for King County Council District number 5, right? It's another woman in the race.
Yeah, so many great things happening tonight. Clap Back, you got the Community Voices Vanishing Seattle episode tonight at 7 also. And then for those of you who want to be about that direct action, man, you guys can meet up with folks that are ready to pull off the march for the 300th day. It's kind of a bit of a celebration with 300 days. People are meeting up at Cal Anderson Park at 6 p.m., leaving the park at 7, heading over to the West Precinct. So join that march if you guys are so inclined.
All right. Any last words before we get out of here, Trey?
You know what? I'm saying it's Thursday Eve. I know that it was a little bit misty out there, but that's all right. Enjoy this. Friday Eve. Enjoy this Thursday, y'all. I know I will.
All right. We're going to get out of here. We're back on live at 6 o'clock for Clap Back Culture. And then, of course, 7 o'clock, Community Voices, Vanishing Seattle Edition, Episode 2, spotlighting Ballard and the Central District. We're going to get out of here. So I would say, please remember to go forward in your purpose and go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present
Facing the rising sun.